joining us today. Today we have the lovely Miss Theresa Angela here. She is born within. She was born in San Juan, Puerto Rico, raised in the Virgin Islands. She actually is a intuitive tarot reader for over 30 years. She's a dream interpreter. She's a clinical hypnotherapist and a QHHT practitioner and an Aborisha in the Santeria faith. So we're going to bring her in and discuss a little bit of things um, about the phenomenal things that Dolores Cannon experienced with her in her past life regressions. Now, Dolores met people from different planets. She met entities. So we're going to describe some of those type of things that actually happens in. So I'm going to bring the lovely Theresa Angela in on our session today. Welcome, Theresa. How are you
Hi.
today?
Good. How are you, Renee?
I'm doing very good, thank you. And thank you for joining us. Um,
Thank you.
so, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into becoming a hypnotherapist and into this QHHT, um, this technique of Dolores Cannon's?
Certainly. So, first, thank you for having me. This is such a long story, and it is a very long journey. But I discovered QHHT at the onset of COVID. But my journey with the paranormal and the tarot and mysticism started when I was really, really young. Um, I'm not even sure where to begin. My love of tarot really has gotten me to where I am. And I have discovered Dolores Cannon, Dr. Brian Weiss, as well as Michael Newton. Their modality is something that I knew I could add to the tarot. I just was not sure where to begin. And so my journey, I feel like it is multifaceted. I'm forever learning. I'm always a student. I'm constantly reading, but I understand now that the more I look, the more things I find, the more things I experience. QHHT has become a new love. I'm not a big fan of the clinical hypnotherapy piece, and you know the story behind that. I enjoyed my time learning, but I pulled out closer to the end because I realized early on that it was not really, it wasn't my passion. My passion really was the past life regression. And so QHHT is pretty much where I've landed. It's where I've thrown my anchor now.
Oh, that's good. Thank you so much for sharing that. I do have a passage that I would like to share from Dolores because we're gonna kind of get into some of the things we've experienced personally and this hypnosis under past life regressions and some of the things that the subconscious mind actually reveals in these sessions. So I'm
Yes.
going to go ahead and play this clip. Take a look. And 1 second here. I'm going to read a passage from Dolores Cannon's The Three Waves of Volunteers in the New Earth. We often talk about quantum healing hypnosis technique that she created, and we talk about the healing of the modality or this technique, but we never talk about the experiences that often. So I want to make this podcast. I want to bring the listeners into what we as regression therapists actually experience with our clients in our sessions. And so this
is from passages taken from chapter 9, A Being from the Console. All right. I am constantly encouraging clients who are in contact with consoles or are part of a console when we do the sessions. I have found that there are many types of consoles. There are consoles over the solar system, over the galaxy, over the universe, etc. There are definite rules and regulations that help keep everything running in proper order. Nothing is left to chance. There also are consoles on the spirit side that have other types of jobs, taking care of the records of those living on the earth. All of these consoles seem to have a great interest in the accumulation of knowledge and information. I am glad there is someone taking care of all of these things. Otherwise, I believe there would be total chaos. When Susan came off the cloud, she was standing in warm water of the ocean. She was near the shore because she saw steps coming down into the water. The steps went up to a temple. She saw 3 women standing there by the right side of the steps. Then 3 more appeared on the other side, welcoming her. Susan. They are wearing simple light colored gowns. The ones that are deeper down the steps are getting wet up to their knees and thighs. They are bringing me in. I think I have to tell them something in order to go through. Not everyone is allowed to come here. There are words they are speaking. Dolores, do you know what to say so they'll let you come up? Susan, I'm familiar with the order. They are expecting me in a way. They're not of my order. Dolores, what do you mean by order? Susan, a group of individuals concerned with the same thing. Susan began making intricate hand motions. I asked her what they are for. It's a signal for an energy exchange. Dolores, is this part of what you had to do or say so they will recognize you? Susan, they accepted me for who I am, who I say I am. They were aware of my arrival. Dolores, they knew you were coming? Yes. Where did you come from? Susan continued to make hand motions and pointed upward. What are you looking at? Susan, surprised. Wow, it's a star base. Dolores, are they familiar with that? Yes. How did you arrive there? She was surprised at the answers and responded to my questions with disbelief and humor. I came through the portal into the water. It's awesome. They knew I was coming. Dolores, this order you belong to, is that on the starbase? It is intergalactic. I had to adapt to the surface requirements by accepting physical form to take part in the general culture of the time. I look like a female that is dressed as they are. Dolores, what is your normal form when you're at the other place? Susan, it's light. I'm a light body. Dolores, are there others on the place you came from? Are the others on that place you came from the same? Susan, correct. Absolutely. We are here to help. Dolores, so when you come into this place, you have to resemble the people there? Susan, at this time I am. Otherwise it would cause some confusion. Dolores, but now they've accepted you and welcomed you? Susan, it was foretold by the stars and the astronomers. It was an appointed date. Dolores, they knew someone was coming? Susan, they represent the delegation from time to time for information exchanged. Dolores, they have done this in the past? Susan, yes, many times, but I only come periodically. Dolores, you said for an exchange. What kind of exchange? Susan, information exchange for gathering support with great concern that we must use at this time. Why was there great concern? Is someone misusing the information? The tendencies are there for the seeds of greed are beginning to grow. We're all aware of it. These people use their influence. We hope that things can be shifted at this time before the seeds of greed have sprouted. Have you brought information before that you think was being misused? At different times. Did you just give it to everyone when you came before? No. Who did you give it to at those times? This group or another group? Another group. This isn't the first time it's been a disaster on this planet. What caused it the other times? The manipulation of matter, the manipulation of natural law and matter for human gain? Dolores, by the beings who were living here in those times? Susan, yes. You know the story. The earth was covered in ice. Was one of those times. Was to stop what they were doing? Susan, to start again. Dolores, it always starts again, doesn't it? They have told me this many times, and it has been reported in my other books. There have been many civilizations in Earth's distant past, and that has reached the height of perfection, only to be brought down by man's inherent greed for power.
So yes, that is basically one of the in Dolores's book, The Three Waves of Volunteers. That is basically one of the volunteers she did a past life regression on, and she realized she was sent here to the earth to help save it and to help others awaken, you know. So that's what I wanted to discuss, kind of like with Theresa, because she's had some amazing quantum healing sessions and she's gotten to experience a lot of people in hypnosis and speaking directly to the subconscious mind. So, Theresa, can you elaborate on some of the experiences you've had um, using Dolores's technique?
Sure. So I've had some really incredible sessions, and each session is different, sometimes a little the same. And I don't think in the training, I feel personally we were not prepared for the contact with the higher self. At least I didn't feel that I was really being prepared for what I was going to experience. And so the past life regression, I feel it's a very standard beginning of the session, under, and you are journeying pretty much with them. I feel since I am intuitive and I do read, I feel as though I'm right there with them as they're journeying through the life experience. And as they are going through that life experience, they are tied to that life, so to speak. And as that life is progressing, if you have extracted the information that you have gone there to get, and you feel that you're getting what the client needs, you can push them a little further, take them to the death scene. Once they have moved past that, I take my clients to the other side of the veil, where they can sit and speak with relatives, loved ones who have crossed over, and then we go see the council. And the council is, I call it the governing body. It's the team who supports you from the other side. They're watching to see how you're progressing, your successes, your failures, your accomplishments. Beyond that, the beauty of QHHT, and it's my favorite part of the session, is approaching, interacting with, and getting the permission to speak with the subconscious. And we, according to Dolores, we call it the subconscious because we really don't have a name for it. I do not believe it is the subconscious. I believe that it is the higher self of the person. It's the actual soul that you speak with. And that part of your client does not exist in the realm of hearing. And this is what I absolutely love about this modality. It goes further than the tarot, further than the oracle cards, because you are speaking with a divine being. And when I do the sessions in person, you feel the air gets sucked out of the room when this energy, this entity comes in. I notice changes in the client physically, their breathing. Sometimes my client will sit up, they'll stand, the head will pan the room, and this is the higher self's way of protecting the physical body and making sure that it is a safe space. And I have had just about every client higher self engaged, and that's where I feel, that's where the meat of the session is.
So Theresa, the volume is really low. I could only get a little bit of that.
No. Can you hear me?
I'm going to try it.
Okay. How's that?
Okay, let me hear you say something.
Is that better?
That is better than it was before. It's still a
Okay.
little bit low, but from what I heard, I didn't hear a whole lot. I don't know.
Oh, no.
I just heard, you respect the subconscious, and the subconscious makes sure the individual is safe under session.
Absolutely.
But
So
can you?
I feel, can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So if I'm honest, I love the whole session. I love the past life experience. I'm right there with the client. I can see what they're seeing, what they're experiencing. But my favorite part is getting them to the other side, allowing them to see their loved ones. That is a reunion it is remarkable. And when we say that you're going to see your loved ones, this is not just hey, you see them from a distance. This is one-on-one interaction. It's in real time. And that frightens some clients. Some clients will decline that part of the session, but you're visiting them. You are in the realm. Once we move on from there, can you hear me?
Your volume is going out, in and out.
Oh no.
So I wonder, like, if you could kind of go out and back in, because and reset the volume, because I can't do anything from this end on resetting.
Okay, 1 moment.
Okay, so while she's doing that, she's had, from what I know, she's had some very profound experiences with her sessions, and I'm so glad to have her here today because it's kind of exciting, and I was just like blown away by some of her experiences. So we have to get her mic adjusted so we can hear all these experiences. Oh, Robin, you said you could hear her good? I don't know. I just couldn't hear her well. But you heard everything? Okay, good. So maybe it's just on my end, but she's gonna go out and come back in, and she'll be right here. She's on her way back in. Hi, Theresa.
Hey. All right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you wonderful.
Okay,
But
good.
one of the viewers were saying she heard you just fine. So, but thank you so much for doing
Sure.
that. Um, so we were talking about some of your experiences, but there's a question from one of the listeners. She says she tried to do a past life regression a while ago, but it was not very successful. She couldn't get to the level, for a lack of better word, she needed to. I needed to. I'm not sure if it was the orange voice, what was being said, how do I prepare for a PLR? That's a common question we get. So it's really not anything on your part, but do you want to speak to that question, Teresa, and how you advise your clients to get
Sure.
prepared?
So I do suggest that clients not, have caffeine, coffee, no psychedelic drugs at least 24 hours prior to the session, eat very light, and not overthink it. Um, we need to bypass the left brain, the critical brain, and the ego. And sometimes in session, I've had a few clients where we struggled to get the person to, to actually get into a life. And it starts with the client thinking that they're going to see everything at first. You're not going to see, some people never see anything. It's a knowing. You have to first believe that this is happening. And your left brain is the enemy here. And it will convince you that what you're doing is ridiculous, this can't happen, it's not true. And so when I have a client that struggles, I have worked well over an hour trying to get them in. And if it's just not fruitful, then we plan and we try again. And I know I have some who have criticized, oh my God, you're going to give them another session. I absolutely want to do that for my client because they're coming to me because they were led to me, and they're coming because there's something that needs to be addressed from their past. And I haven't had a client who has been kind of left out to dry. We always try. We go back in and we try again. And eventually, I've tried with my partner. He had to be put under 3 terms in order to have a very successful session. So it happens, and it's your critical mind that is overthinking it. It is not something that you're doing wrong. You can also do things to help open your creative mind, your right brain. You can do things like coloring. I would even suggest going to a playground and getting a swing set and doing childlike things to disarm that logical side of the brain.
Yeah, so I know I've had difficulty. I've had a lot of QHHT sessions, and basically, I think the reason I struggled is because I didn't have a rapport with the practitioner. The
Yes,
time was that we spent wasn't enough for me to feel comfortable, and
right.
so it did not work because we didn't have a rapport. And so if I don't have a rapport with someone, then
Right.
I don't, I'm probably not going to compete. But yeah, I do agree. All of those things and balancing the right and the left brain is
Mm-hmm.
really important. But then I do know too that there are some things you can do as a hypnotherapist to take the individual deeper, regardless. But yeah, so I would just recommend making sure that you have a good rapport with the practitioner, because if
There's
you
a
don't,
lot. There's a lot of noise. I can barely hear you.
oh, you can't hear me?
There's a lot of background. I'm not sure.
Okay, how's that?
That's good.
That's better?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Um, but yeah, I was just saying that having that rapport is so important, and for the practitioner, some practitioners are newer than other ones, and if I
Yeah.
feel rushed or I feel not spending the time and I don't
Mm-hmm.
have rapport, then it may not be a successful session. But
Right.
yeah, thanks for that question, Robin. Okay, thank you. So now, Robin, can you hear me better? I have a fan on. If that's probably the noise. Okay. All right. Good. So Theresa, can you discuss maybe I don't know if you have a few clients you're able to share experiences or maybe perhaps your own experience.
Okay, so I've had many interesting clients. One of my favorites, I did have one where we call in the higher self, and I'm understanding now. Sometimes the higher self is not the first voice to speak, to come forward. Any attachments that the client may have would like to speak first. And when I say attachments, I mean anything that is with that client. If that client is perhaps struggling with grief, if that client has an ancestor that has not fully transitioned over, um, these become attachments to you and they will speak, they will make themselves known. Um, and I know you and I have talked a little bit about spirit releasement. I'm sorry, that noise is back again. Um, so there is, spirit releasement therapy that, a client can opt in to have done if this, whatever this attachment is, if it's interrupting their life. But again, one of my favorites is Archangel Raphael did come in, channeled in through the client, and had wonderful, beautiful messages, and it was right on time for the client. And again, the energy that comes in is amazing. You can feel it, but it enters. And for anyone who is referring to themselves as an empath, you will know when it's not just yourself in this space. Because the energy completely changes. It's like you have a hard time breathing because of how much energy is present with you. So I did have an archangel come in, and of course my own session where I saw who I was in a previous lifetime. That was a memorable one as well. Being a mermaid, being a mer person, amazing experience. The things that I was able to see and
And
put the
that was
pieces
amazing.
together.
That blew me away when you were a mermaid. I mean, and not just that, but you were a mermaid and you were connected with people that we know together, right? We were we were connected.
Absolutely. Another part of that session was, seeing firsthand what a reptilian looks like. That was something that shook me to my core. I was not expecting to see that, and that energy was not happy to have me between realms. And even, I'm gonna say it's a he. It appeared masculine, but this entity was not at all pleased that I was entering into those spaces. So that was an experience.
Yeah, it was amazing just watching that. I know Dolores, she talked to the higher self or what she calls the SC, but she also spoke to higher essence beings. So she would talk to the being to see, to kind of judge to see if she was getting accurate information. And then otherwise, she would call on the SC, what she calls the subconscious
Yeah,
mind. And so you really don't know what you're going to get in these sessions, but one thing for sure, the subconscious mind is always going to direct you to a life that you can handle and it's going to be safe and secure, like you were saying.
absolutely. I have a quite a few people who are on the fence. They are interested, but there's a lot of fear. And the same with having a tarot reading, you're only going to be given what you can handle for that time, for that season in your life. It is not something to scare you or to force you to submit to something. You are only given what you can handle.
So, how have you seen growth? I don't know if you want to say it for yourself or for your clients, from using the quantum healing hypnosis technique of Dolores's. What kind of growth have you seen in your clients as well as yourself?
Well, for myself, I'm an open book. I'm more than happy to share, my experience. And I had, one of our classmates, she put me under, and even doing this work, there's still a piece of you that has a little bit of skepticism. And even being a practitioner, I think to myself, well, I can do these sessions with clients, and I can guarantee it's going to work, it's going to be fruitful. But for myself, I thought, am I going to be able to get out of the way? Am I going to be able to allow someone into my mind to assist me with my own healing? And I said, well, I, and in my session, you have that part where you ask the higher self to stand in physical body. And Alicia and I had not discussed beforehand what I was looking for. And we're not allowed to use the H word healing, but I was looking for that for myself. And in scanning the physical body, I was very curious to see if something was going to be repaired, if I would be given an ease from my discomfort. And it was guaranteed. It was said, oh, it's done, it's healed, it's over. And within a week, I received back something that I was waiting for a while, which was a mammogram result. And people who personally know me, my family members, they know that this is something that I struggle with. And to receive a report after so many years, I was going to have, I was having a clean and clear report. And that side of my body was no longer afflicted. And so I credit that with this modality. And I never promise, I never guarantee to clients, but I use that as the example. Even me, and I'm a big skeptic, to have experienced something like this, to be freed from that was life changing for me.
Yeah.
And so that's what drives me. That's what fuels me. And this love for QHHT. I love tarot. Everyone who knows me knows how much I love tarot. But QHHT is definitely leading the way now.
That was a profound experience of yours because
Mm-hmm.
the your higher self, or whatever you want to call it, or Dolores says SC, moved you out of the way and just said, she's stubborn. She eats like this, or she does. She, I mean, it tells the truth.
Yeah.
It's the truth. And not only did they give your higher self give information about you, but she gave information to the practitioner that said, you need to
Yes.
do this and you need to do that. And so I
Yeah.
always find that very amazing when that happens.
Yeah. I call, it the energy and the vibe that I experience when a higher self steps in. I call her Maya Angelou. It's that vibe. She is the wise auntie. She is the bougie, all about business, strong woman. But when she comes in and she speaks, and it is almost verbatim with most the messages, of course, will be different, but it is always it's a very serious conversation that happens. And yes, the SC did tell me, about my love for drinking soda, that I need to change my diet. I need to be vegetarian. Vegan is the best, but vegetarian, I can slide with that. And I still struggle in those areas.
Yeah,
I still struggle there.
yeah, and what I didn't realize at the time, because I just finished, because I'm like reading 5 of Dolores's books at once, and I'll read each one. But this book that I had a clip from in the beginning, the 3 Waves of Volunteers in the New Earth, um, it actually tells us that we need to change our diet. And
Mm-hmm.
it's talking about a raw vegan diet, raw fruits,
Yes.
raw vegetables, and eating that way. And it raises your frequency. And that's preparing you to transition and to elevate
Mm-hmm.
your frequency for the changes that's going to be happening here on this earth. And
Absolutely.
for you to step into that new way of being and to actually actualize your gifts and abilities, and to be able to
Absolutely.
be one of those people that aids in helping heal the earth and heal other people as well. I've
Yeah.
been vegan for since like 2000. I started in 2008, 9ish, and then I started doing raw, and you
Mm-hmm.
get so much energy. You get so
Yes.
much energy. So you're
Yes.
getting live energy from the plant, and we call it life repurposing because everything is living. So you're eating these
Mm-hmm.
raw fruits and vegetables, and you're getting their energy, and it's immediate.
Absolutely.
And not only that, you get nutrition, you get the live enzyme, you get their energy. But when you cook it, it's like
Mm-hmm.
nutrition, and it may be helpful for you, but there's no live energy and no
That's right.
enzyme, things like that. So,
Absolutely. And
yeah,
our consciousness is our vehicle. You know, we hear, and there are many people who still are in this mindset that, the aliens do not exist, and oh, it's just us, there's no other life. But if you do some research, you will understand that there are other beings. There are other beings all around us, and their vehicle, they do not require these spaceships to get here. Consciousness is their mode of travel, and we need to realize that as well. If you're eating these trash diets, when you astral travel, because we do it every night when we dream, we just can't remember our dreams. When you astral travel, if you're so dense, if you're so heavy in your energy, you can't get to the higher planes, you will be in places where you will be attacked, where you will be with the lower frequency entities. And so people say, oh my God, you play with demons. No, it's your energy, your frequency, your energy determines where you are and where you're going.
can I just mention the time in your session? It was hilarious. Can I mention that part
Yes, sure.
where she was meeting her council members, and he actually, the practitioner said, "Thump her on the head," and he thumped you on the. No, what did
Yeah.
he do? Punched you on the chest.
I got hit in the chest. I got hit in the chest. And first of all, when you're seeing what you're seeing, you're amazed, you're shocked because you're seeing things that you don't see in your waking moments. And the first person on my console was not a being. I didn't think it was a being. It was actually a frog. And I thought this was got to be a joke because you want your counsel to be Metatron, and you want it to be an archangel, and there were 17 in my row, but the first one was this animal, and I couldn't figure. But I don't know if I updated you, but a few years back I was taking like a shaman's class, and the instructor there, he received a reading from me recently. And right after this QHHT session where I had that interaction with that animal, he said to me, I just came back from Peru. I received frog medicine. And I was like, I don't want to hear about the frogs. But it made sense because him and I have a connection. And he was once my instructor. And it would make sense learning from this person. And there is frog medicine on my. I have not gone back since that session. I had a repeat session because I'm actually still processing all that I've seen and all that I've experienced. But yes, that was something.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
So we have a question. What do you think about Hemi Sync?
I don't think it's necessary. Should you do some meditation? Yes. But if we are going to be authentic in this, we are already hardwired. We are hardwired. Are our wires crossed, twisted? Are they rusty? Are they dormant? Yes. But I don't believe that hypnosis is necessary. Unless you are a person that is coming straight out of organized religion per se, and you have a lot of undoing, then maybe that would be something you want to do. But I don't believe that any of that is necessary to connect to yourself, because higher self is yours. It's who guards you. It's who's at your gate. We all have a gate. I don't believe hypnosis is necessary.
Yeah, I know. I can tend to be a lot left brain sometimes um, when I'm in a certain mode of doing
Mm-hmm.
things and stuff. And so I have those mandala coloring books. Just doing
Yeah.
something creative kind of balances it out, you
Right.
know, balances both
Dude,
sides.
I would say doodling. I doodle on everything. I have paper wherever I go, even at my regular job, and I doodle everything. And I'm noticing the patterns that I doodle has something to do with whatever star system I'm from. There's something, we always have clues. We are not just randomly writing. Or and also according to your mood, what are you dealing with emotionally that's causing you to draw squares? We know squares are hard points and they could present as challenges. But I just, do we need to do meditation? Absolutely, because that is the gateway in. But to say that I would have to sit and listen to a specific tone, now I'm into binaural beats to relieve pain, or to get me, out of a funk. I'll listen to binaural beats, or shamanic drumming. But I don't believe that we need to do something that is specific to get you in for this. I think we're
Yeah.
hardwired.
I do pure tones a lot with my clients who I use it with all of my clients, like solfeggio frequencies or
Mm-hmm.
um, frequencies of delta or even gamma with some clients, depending on the way they take in information. And they have
Mm-hmm.
no problems, but I listen to that myself. Solfeggio frequencies, I use them to
Yeah.
balance my chakras, things like that, and
Mm-hmm.
go into the meditation. But
Yeah.
yeah, I do agree with you. So we have another question. Um, she says, I believe she has no fear, but she really wants to have a past life regression. She believes she can progress more if she can complete one.
Mm-hmm.
She feels like she just has to prep much better. What would you say to?
Um, the overthinking and the feeling that you have to prepare is going to take you somewhere else. It's going to have you filled with anxiety, and then especially if you have to pay for your session, because there are, practitioners who are looking to build their clientele, so they'll do pro bono work. But I understand when you make your payment, you really want to get everything that you can out of it. So I would suggest, if you could find a practitioner, maybe one who is trying to build their practice, who needs to practice on someone, um, so that you can have multiple sessions done. If you are concerned, about paying for it and then not having it be fruitful, or just, try to build a relationship, or have a good rapport with someone who does this work. And you will be surprised how you let your heart, you will let, the higher self get into the driver's seat, because that's all we're doing. We're asking the left brain to just get out of the way so that we can make the brain in. Some clients, it is a challenge, and I end up being very aggressive with the left brain. And you have to say things to it to get it to just stop, because it does not want, the practitioner to get in there to pull out and to extract the information that you're trying to get. Because what we're doing here is just to get these answers to your questions. And
Yeah,
I'm
you have
not,
to
you know,
allow
I'm
yourself
like,
to.
give me 40 questions.
just allowing for the process to take place. You have to
Mm-hmm.
give yourself permission and get, to let yourself experience that
Yes.
experience, right? And then also, like, I've had a lot of sessions that were not as successful. Some of it is because of the reasons I mentioned before, but it has improved greatly. So, like, I've learned where my fear of success comes from a
Mm-hmm.
past life, and it made so much sense because I had all the potential. I know what to do, and blah blah blah, and then I
Mm-hmm.
like where I'm just about to blow up, and then I sabotage it, and I didn't
Yes.
know why I did that every single time, and it had to do with a past life issue, and I went right into that life, and I
Mm-hmm.
learned the lesson, and we cleared that up, and so I don't have to sabotage anymore because I know where it came from now.
Yes.
Um, but we had that brings us to my next question for you, Theresa,
Mm-hmm.
with um, like your clients. What kind of issues have you seen some of your clients get better with their presenting issues or the issues
Um,
that they wanted to change?
Self-confidence, fear, wanting their gifts to be awakened and expanded on. But a lot of it has to do with self-worth. Most of them, it's self-worth, self-doubting. And I could go on and on with this because we all struggle with something, especially women. Fears. I mean, it's amazing to watch the transformation. And, I can do it with the tarot. There are going to be messages that will come through for a client. But, you know, all in all, people just want validation and they want affirmation. And to know that there is a way, there's a very structured way to get these answers. I'm so grateful to have discovered this, to have bumped into this, to have crossed paths with this modality. Because if it's not helping anyone else, it's helping me. I'm learning, even in every session, I am learning who I am, why I'm here, and I feel absolutely working in my life's purpose. My life's purpose is what everyone else thinks is my purpose. I really come here to do. I did not come here to have families and to pay bills and to struggle. We came here on a mission. And knowing what your mission is allows you to have a better experience.
I'd like to give an experience I had with one of my sessions. Very gifted practitioner. I have to give you a backstory. In my 20s, I had been on an accident I'm in Minnesota, and some people that move here, they don't know how to drive in the winter. I was on the freeway. This guy slams in the wintertime. It was snowing just a little bit, but it makes it slippery. He
Mm-hmm.
slammed on his brakes on the freeway. He spun around, and he came over 2 lanes and crashed into me head on. So my whole front end of the car was smashed up. My knees got smashed. I had a lot of issues with that crash because it's like my low back, my knees, and like the left side of my body had a 10% disability, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in that session, she asked about healing. She asked the subconscious to heal all of those areas and my knees. I mean, my knees have been a problem for a long time. And so during the scanning and for a whole week after that session, I was feeling better and better and better. But
Mm-hmm.
the there was no pain in my knees. My low back and that numbness on my left side of the body was gone. So those are the type of miraculous things that happens in these deep quantum healing sessions. Like
Yes.
your condition, everything wrong can be healed completely.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, this is just so amazing. So amazing.
Yes. I can't tell you how much I love QHHT, so much so that it lured me away from, you know, traditional hypnosis, and I plan to do this for the rest of my days. I do, because I know the value, and it's so magical. It is so magical.
Now, Teresa, you have other modalities that you practice. Do you want to speak on any of those? Um,
Sure. So before before hypnosis, before the tarot, I was a minister. I was ministering in church. I grew up Catholic. When I moved here from the Caribbean, I, I believe I left the at like 20. I just felt like I was not in alignment with that system, but I still hold a lot of it, you know, near and dear. I still collect the rosaries, you know, grew up under um, Catholicism, and I had searched for so long for something else. And when I got here, I understood, you know, energy and the Holy Spirit. I joined two or three churches, and then I did accept the call to preach. I was learning the Bible, and I was let down several times within the church system. And I left. I left abruptly. I was very disappointed with leadership and, you know, what people were doing behind closed doors. And so I said, you know what, I'm done. I'm no longer interested in doing this organized stuff because it just didn't feel right. It did not feel authentic anymore. So I continued to search, but what was always very big for me was Santeria. And Santeria is a blending of Catholicism with African tradition religion. And that's what I do. I am a devotee in Santeria, meaning that I understand the elements under one creator, and those elements we call them the Aborisha, and the enslaved people who landed in Cuba brought that tradition with them. It is a branch of Ifa. And we have Ifa is, I call it, Ifa is the tree, it's the trunk of the tree. And we have other branches that are attached to it. Lukumi is one, and then we have Santeria. Santeria, you'll notice a lot of people who are Hispanic in the culture, they will practice Santeria. And that's kind of where I've nestled in. Received my LAK beads just when COVID was beginning a couple years ago. And it's pretty much where I am. I haven't sought to go further in the initiation process, but I'm comfortable where I am. I do work with the Orisha and, you know, with the saints, with the saints, and that's pretty much where I am right now. Outside of that, still tarot. Not a big fan of oracle cards, but I have become a collector of these decks. Big on crystals, use pendulums, not a big fan of pendulum either. I've started using dowsing rods, which kind of work like a pendulum, but they are fast moving. And if you ask me how I got my start in all of this, I was 18 and I discovered the beach board and this is where I am now with these practices. But again, hypnosis trumps it all. Trumps all of these other practices. The dream interpreting, that came in. I actually learned that a lot from my mom. It was a good dream. She was a Pisces. And she would write the dreams. I would ask, what are you doing? How would you track these things? She would look at it. She was also looking for lottery numbers, if we're going to be honest. She was tracking, you know, to see what was she dreaming, the most is actually very and so I do dream interpretation, but it's where I am now. This I have so many examples that we talked a lot about things, and my daughter now who's 15, she's starting to experience some interesting things. She's starting to see relatives in the home, relatives that have been there since the 80s or the 90s, so she's never met any of them, but she's starting to experience things. Possibly also because her bedroom is next door to my child space. But yeah, this life is not for the faint. You can't turn this off. The energy is always there, but you learn how to create so that you can have it.
So before we wrap everything up, can you tell us how to reach you? How the listeners can reach you and contact you?
Sure. So my website is www.intuitivetarotbytheresa.com. And Facebook, everything is Intuitive Tarot by Teresa, including Instagram. TikTok, I believe my username is Red Hibiscus 47. I am not very active on there. I'm not too familiar with really how TikTok works. I'm just a fan of it. But everything goes through my bookings, go through the website. Some people just book me by messaging me through Facebook, and I'll share the website with them that way. But you can say that goes to the website.
So, is there anything that you'd like to let the listening audience know about? Any misconceptions? Anything at all that you feel is important to share before we go? Anything we haven't discussed?
I do. So, anyone who is looking to get into reading cards, even hypnosis, this is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a lot of trending. I'm seeing a lot of people dabbling, and they're not understanding this work. You need to learn how to hear things, play with them. You need to learn how to protect yourself. There are certain things that you should be doing to safeguard not just you, but your space, because energy will stick to anything, and you will map the things. So, am I trying to discourage people from reading cards? No, but you should understand that is a system, but you should also know that there are things that come along with it. Are you ready to be awakened at night because you did a reading for someone and their ancestor is here and they have a message? Are you willing to sacrifice yourself? But yeah, knowing how to clean yourself, how to care yourself, how to care things before you use them, and knowing how to close doors. I would suggest that you speak to someone who knows what they're doing.
Well, thank you so much for coming and joining with us. And please feel free to come back again. We'd like to have you back. Thank you so much for joining us. And for the listening audience, feel free to like, share, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next week. Thank you
Thank
so
you.